In December 1999, the Great Falls Police managed to obtain a search warrant. But this wasn't just any operation. This was the first step into one of the most depraved cases they would ever encounter. At that moment, everything changed when they found a cryptic diary. The entries in the diary were deeply disturbing. Child pie, fried child, and little child stew. The police couldn't fully understand what they meant, but they sensed something was terribly wrong. What was happening in the messy kitchen of that house? How did the police uncover the horrifying secrets of Nathaniel Bar-Jonah? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of these chilling true stories. Now let's get back to the story. Zachary Ramsey, known as Zach, was a cheerful, social 10-year-old boy loved by his friends and teachers. He lived in Great Falls, Montana, and every morning before school, he met up with his friends to play and laugh together. But everything changed on the morning of February 6th, 1996. That day, the air was freezing, but Zach was in good spirits. He wore a blue denim jacket with green sleeves, a football jersey with his last name printed in gold on the back, and black high-top sneakers. Just like always, he left home to walk to school, but that morning, he took an unusual shortcut through an alley, a choice that would alter his life forever. As he walked down the snowy street, a white sedan sat idly in the shadows near North 5th Avenue. The engine was running, but the man inside remained unseen. Whether Zach noticed him or not, no one would ever know. His school was only 6 blocks away, but he would never make it there. But that morning didn't go as planned. Zach took a shortcut between 6th and 7th Avenue and vanished without a trace. His friends assumed he was sick or had stayed home, but when school staff called his mother, everything changed. Realizing Zach wasn't home, his mother immediately reported him missing. The news spread fast, shaking the community of Great Falls to its core. A little boy disappearing on his way to school. This was every parent's worst nightmare. And now, everyone was asking the same question. Where was Zach? Between 1995 and 1996, a violent crime occurred every 6.5 hours in Montana. But the people of Great Falls had no idea of the darkness slowly creeping into their peaceful community. Following Zach's disappearance, a massive search was launched. The news spread quickly. Volunteers, police, and rescue teams joined forces. The search focused around the 400 block of 4th Avenue, where Zach had last been seen. Soon, disturbing clues were uncovered. A pair of stonewashed jeans believed to belong to Zach, found in a dumpster, and a blue denim jacket in a nearby field. Several witnesses confirmed seeing Zach that morning. Some knew him as Zachy. One person said he looked like he was waiting for someone in the alley. Even more disturbing, a family living nearby reported seeing a white 4-door car nearly run him over. Around 7:45 a.m., another witness said they saw Zach crying. He was being followed by a sad-looking, overweight man wearing a navy blue police-style jacket. The man had stepped out to take out the trash. As Zach turned into the alley, the man stood silently behind the dumpster. It didn't take long to identify him. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah, a man with a deeply troubling history involving young children. And now, the police knew. If they wanted to find Zach, they had to dive into Nathaniel's disturbing past. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah was born on February 15, 1957, in Massachusetts. His birth name was David Paul Brown. He was the youngest of 3 siblings, and even as a baby, it was clear something was different. He was constantly hungry, severely overweight, and disliked being touched. At just 3 weeks old, he developed hydrocephalus, a condition that causes excess fluid to build up in the brain, leading to dangerous pressure and potential brain damage. When Nathaniel turned 3, the family moved to Florida. His father, a strict construction worker, ruled the house with an iron fist. Nathaniel was difficult and withdrawn. He didn't get along with his siblings and began stealing at a young age. His father believed this behavior was linked to a mental illness and feared it would later lead to homosexuality. In response, he often beat Nathaniel with a thick leather belt. As time went on, Nathaniel's behavior became increasingly unsettling. He would frequently scratch at his skin until it was injured, and displayed actions that deeply worried those around him. His classmates were frightened, unsure of how to react to someone so different. Despite this, his mother remained silent. She offered no explanation and seemed oddly unaffected. It was clear that Nathaniel was unlike other children, and the darkness within him was only beginning to emerge. In 1964, shortly after returning to Massachusetts, Nathaniel committed his first known disturbing act. He lured a young girl into his basement under the pretense of showing her a Ouija board, but it was a trap. He tried to strangle her. Thankfully, his mother heard the screams and intervened just in time. The girl was saved. The incident was never spoken of again, but Nathaniel was already on a dangerous path. By 1973, his behavior had escalated. Wearing a fake police jacket, he approached 2 boys and offered them money and a surprise if they followed him to a cemetery. They refused. The boy's mother chose not to press charges, believing he needed psychological help rather than prison. That decision would later cost dearly. In March 1975, now 18 and on the brink of dropping out of school, Nathaniel abducted a young boy named Richard while dressed as a police officer. A neighbor saw the abduction and called the police. Richard was found severely injured, barely alive. Nathaniel was arrested, but eventually released on parole. He soon moved to Connecticut and impersonated another police officer, this time kidnapping a girl. The girl began convulsing and vomiting during the attack, so Nathaniel dumped her on the side of the road. He was arrested again, but incredibly, this incident was never reported to his parole officer. By May 1976, he was officially released, along with a letter thanking him for his cooperation. Nathaniel had become increasingly unstable. On September 24, 1907, he spotted 2 boys exiting a movie theater, laughing and carefree. Claiming to be an FBI agent, he convinced them to enter his car. He drove to a remote area, handcuffed them, and began torturing them. At 170 kilograms, he jumped on one boy's chest repeatedly until he thought the child was dead. Then, he left one boy on the side of the road and drove away with the other still in the trunk. But the boy he left behind survived and called for help. Within an hour, police located Nathaniel and rescued the second child, and this time, finally, he would face real justice. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah was sentenced to 18 to 20 years in prison at the Massachusetts Correctional Institution in Concord. But soon, it became clear that prison couldn't contain the danger he posed. After revealing disturbing sexual fantasies during interviews with a prison psychologist, officials declared the facility inadequate for him. He was transferred indefinitely to Bridgewater State Hospital, a treatment center designed for sexually dangerous offenders. While at Bridgewater, on March 22, 1984, he legally changed his name from David Brown to Nathaniel Benjamin Levy Bar-Jonah. He gave several reasons for the change. One explanation was that he wanted to understand what it felt like to face discrimination as a Jewish person. Others believed he simply wanted to obscure his past. Despite claiming Jewish identity, his ancestry was Scandinavian. The new name seemed more like a mask than a transformation. That same year, 2 psychologists hired by his defense testified that Nathaniel no longer posed a threat to society. The state couldn't provide enough evidence or witnesses to prove otherwise. On February 12, 1991, a judge ruled in favor of his release. Due to administrative delays, his actual release didn't happen until July. Still, not everyone agreed with the decision. Court-assigned psychiatrists remained convinced he was dangerous and obsessed with violent fantasies, specifically involving children and cannibalism. One psychiatrist even stated that Nathaniel's primary source of sexual arousal came from long-standing thoughts of torture. Eventually, Nathaniel walked free, but within weeks, it became painfully obvious. His name may have changed, but he hadn't. On August 9, 1991, in Oxford, Massachusetts, a child was sitting alone in a parked car outside a post office. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah saw the opportunity and climbed inside. Now weighing over 300 pounds, he sat on the child's chest. Fortunately, the child's mother noticed and rushed to the car. Nathaniel fled the scene but was later arrested. During interrogation, he admitted he intended to kill the boy. Despite the seriousness of the attack, Nathaniel received just 2 years of supervised probation. As part of the plea deal, he was ordered to move back in with his mother in Great Falls, Montana. The authorities in Massachusetts seemed to believe that sending him away would solve the problem. Once again, Nathaniel walked free. For a few years, he kept a low profile, until the disappearance of Zachary Ramsey. The case landed on the desk of Detective Bill Belushi. When given a list of local sex offenders, he was surprised to find that Nathaniel's name wasn't on it, but multiple witnesses claimed to have seen him near the alley where Zachary vanished. Trusting his instincts, Belushi made Bar-Jonah his prime suspect. Despite several attempts, his requests for a search warrant were denied. Meanwhile, Nathaniel moved out of his mother's house. For the next 3 years, Belushi and Bar-Jonah engaged in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Even without a murder conviction, Nathaniel had repeatedly come dangerously close. And yet, he managed to avoid serious consequences. But Detective Belushi knew this man didn't fit into the usual patterns. On December 13, 1999, after closely watching him for years, Belushi saw Nathaniel parked outside an elementary school. For the 3rd time that week, his fear was about to become a terrifying reality. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah began frequenting elementary schools, dressed in a dark jacket, knit hat, and carrying fake police gear, including pepper spray and a toy gun. Detective Belushi seized the opportunity to charge him with impersonating an officer and carrying concealed weapons. On December 15, 1999, a search warrant led police to Bar-Jonah's home, where they uncovered disturbing items: child photos, bondage-related documents, and a journal disguised as a cookbook with recipes titled Little Boy Stew and Fried Child. Investigators found that Bar-Jonah didn't go to work on the day Zach Ramsey disappeared. A second search revealed a list of 54 children's names, ending with Zach's name marked deceased. Thousands of child photographs, unknown human bones, and a meat grinder with what appeared to be human hair were also found. But Zach's body was never recovered. His mother refused to believe he was dead, and as a result, the murder charges were dropped. Despite repeated failures by the legal system, Bar-Jonah was finally sentenced to 130 years in prison without parole for kidnapping, aggravated assault, and multiple sex crimes. In 2008, he suffered a fatal heart attack in his prison cell. He died with many horrifying secrets buried alongside him. Nathaniel Bar-Jonah is no longer alive. But the unanswered questions, the missing children, and the darkness he left behind still haunt us. If you're drawn to stories like this, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next chilling case. Remember, some monsters are real.